Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I figured we'd do a review of my 2018 WRX. I've had it for about 2 weeks now, so I think it would be a perfect time to go ahead and actually share what I think about the car. One of the things that I kind of couldn't get is the whole Subaru culture. I have a friend who's absolutely obsessed with anything and everything Subaru related, and up until recently, I mean, I've just driven Corvettes, and last car was actually a 2012 Jeep, but kind of figured, you know what, I think it's time to trade the Jeep in and go with something a little bit different. So what did I decide to do? Right, so I started looking around and I wanted a very specific car. I wanted an all-wheel drive sedan with a manual transmission. So yeah, of course there were a few out there, but in all reality, I narrowed it down to two. One being the WRX and the other one being the Audi A4. So I didn't even actually go and test drive the A4 for one specific reason. The car just looks expensive. It looks like they put a lot of detail into it. You know, like for example, seats. I've always modified my cars, and to modify an Audi A4 after I just purchased it, I don't think I would feel all that comfortable, to tell you the truth. So it's like, imagine just, hey, let me put on some, Corbu or Sparco seats in this car. There's no way you would swap out those leather seats. Same thing goes for the wheels and all kinds of stuff. You just kind of don't want to ruin it, and it becomes just a family-friendly sedan with a manual transmission. I mean, that's literally all it is. This car, like I said, just because of the Subaru culture insanity that I didn't understand up until that point. I mean, to tell you the truth, even with the Corvettes, I didn't, understand the Corvette insanity around it. But I decided, you know what, I'm going to go give this thing a shot. I'm going to go test drive it, see how it actually goes. So that's what I did. I went to a Subaru dealership. I wanted to look at the brand new 2018 WRX. That's of course after doing my research and noticing that the FA 20 engine comes in the WRX, which seems more practical, and everyone's raving about it, versus the EJ engine that comes in the STI, which everybody says, it's an outdated engine, it's got problems with this and that, etc., etc. Now, being 30 years old, I think I kind of grew out of the STI performance upgrades that it comes with, such as that massive spoiler, or the neon green brakes that it comes on every single STI that I saw at the lot. So I was kind of thinking, of course I understand the differences. I understand it's got a upgraded transmission and beefier brakes and all that kind of stuff. And I started honestly thinking about it, for the price difference, did I really want to go and even look at an STI versus a WRX? And like I said, before I even went and test drove it, I watched a bunch of reviews, and most people said, really, if you're going to be just driving it around town, the WRX is the way to go. So here we are. I went to the dealership, test drove it, instantly fell in love with the car, and I didn't want to talk about it up until I had at least a couple of weeks. It still hasn't been 2 full weeks since I got it, but I did purchase the car with literally 6 miles on it, and right now it's at 890 miles exactly, in a week and 5 days since I've owned it. How does it feel? Alright, well, you have to be a car guy, in my opinion. Everywhere I went, I think the American mentality here anyways is, it doesn't look all that luxurious. What happened to the leather seats? What happened to this? What happened to that? And those are the things I did not want in a car. Even the sales guy at the Subaru dealership, he was trying to sell me the leather seats, and I told him, I said, I do not want leather seats. I don't want a moonroof. I don't want any of that. I just want a sedan with preferably cloth seats. And again, you know, just because if you ever driven in Georgia, for example, you'll get sweaty, and then you come sit inside your nice leather seats, and you feel it. It feels like you almost make that noise, like just getting into the seat. I can't stand that feeling. So cloth seats for me. Coming inside, I actually want a really basic dash, basic everything. If there was a car manufacturer that just built cars with just a few analog gauges, that would be perfect for me. I don't want any of this extra features. But with that said, there are a few things that I learned to like in the Subaru as far as the technology goes. I guess best part would be to start with the outside of the car. So the outside of the car I really like. I don't know why people complain all that much. It almost looks like, when you're looking at the front fenders, like it already has a wide body kit on it. It looks like there's a lot of space for wheels and tires, and I actually like the fact that you can fit a 10-inch wide wheel in there, with like a positive 40 offset, 18 or 19 inch, for example, and be good to go. All four. You don't have to worry about the fronts or the rears or anything like that. And of course, that's going to be one of the first upgrades that I do. Probably 19 by 10s, positive 40. Put some coilovers, you know, get the adjustable rear lower control arms. Make sure it fits properly. Don't go crazy on it. And just lower it nicely. And I think I'm going to be pretty good. I think the wheels with the positive 55 offset that it comes with right now, the 17s, just push the wheels in a little bit, way too much for my liking, even though there are people who just don't care. They're like, it's fine, you know, it works for me. I do think the tires are too loud on this, especially when it comes to road noise. When you're on the freeway, you definitely hear it. But other than that, I mean, I think the outside styling is really nice. And this guy's tailgating me for no reason. I'm doing 42 and a 35. Just relax. He's even got his brights on. Well, we're just gonna ignore that, like mature adults. But anyways, the friend that I was telling you about, his came with the stock front lip, I guess the STI lip, and the side skirts. So I went on Subaru's website. I think it's just overpriced, you know, $500 for the front lip, you know, similar for the side skirts, or I think it was $400 for the front lip, $500 for the side skirts, as well as $335 for just the rear two plastic pieces. I mean, that's crazy. So I went to Amazon, and of course I was able to find everything for $285. I got the rear pieces in. I kind of test fitted them. They seem like they fit perfect. So I'm just gonna go ahead and purchase. Well, actually, I'm just waiting for the front lip and the side skirts to come in. So we'll see how that fits. When you're driving the car, if you start accelerating, especially on the freeway, I mean, I'm not talking about crazy acceleration. I'm talking about maybe like 3,000 RPM to maybe 3,200 RPM. You really start hearing the turbo whistle. You start really hearing the exhaust tone and everything like that. And for a stock car, the exhaust is almost perfect. I mean, during the cold start, you really hear the exhaust well. And like I said, when you start driving it, let's see if we can hear the turbo. I don't know if that's going to come out good on camera or not, but it just feels like it has a lot of torque. I mean, this car, although, you know, it comes with 268 horsepower, I'm assuming it's somewhere around 220, 230 to the wheels. It feels like it goes. There's been a couple of times on the freeway, just driving normally, following traffic, 6th gear, just lightly step on the grass, I'll look down 90 miles an hour. That is insane. Of course, back off automatically. And like I said, it's not like I'm torturing the car. It's like 3,500 RPM at max. Definitely still in the break-in phase, but I got another 110 miles to go, so we'll give it a shot after I cross over the 1,000-mile mark and see how this car really goes. With that said, there are a couple of things that I read and saw online that drive people crazy, and they'll get that cob access port to automatically eliminate, for example, the rev hang. For me, initially, the rev hang was kind of annoying. But then I realized that if you just drive the car normally, like I am right now, the rev, by the time you're able to press the clutch and switch the gear, just a normal, I'm not talking about fast or doing it extra slow or anything like that, just doing a normal speed is actually perfect. It comes in and it's almost like a rev match in some of these other cars where you're downshifting and it rev matches and stuff like that, but just all the time. And the first to second gear especially, because it just seems like, for example, like this right now, it just if you're trying to shift it really fast, you're gonna feel it. It's almost gonna feel like a kick. But if you're just driving normally, you actually learn to like that rev match. Other than that, the turbo lag, right? A lot of people complain about it. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but that is my favorite feature of any turbo car. I like stepping on the gas and then all of a sudden it just starts spooling and you hear it spool, and then all of a sudden you feel that little bit of extra acceleration, and you know that the engine has done its work and now the turbo is pushing the extra air into the engine and causing it to accelerate. I don't know what it is, but I just really like that turbo lag. Like I said, I'm not a race car driver, I'm just a daily driver, so any kind of features like that, it's not really a feature, it's just a consequence, I guess is a better word to say, of owning a turbo vehicle. You are going to have turbo lag unless you do something like anti-lag system or something like that, where it's going to be destroying your turbos. But other than that, interior wise, I was kind of shocked from how much visibility this car has. The first time I sat in it, I was saying to my wife, I said, this thing feels almost like a Beetle, like a Volkswagen Beetle. And I almost didn't like it. I was like, I want to reduce my visibility, just because I'm coming, like I said, from Corvettes and even the Jeep. You would think there's a lot of visibility in the Jeep, but that's kind of not. So after about a week, I really got used to this, and I love all of this visibility now that I've driven it. The other portion inside the car, you have a boost gauge up front, as well as how hard you're stepping on the acceleration. It gives you a percentage, some time clock, the average mile per gallon over the lifetime, as well as your fuel economy, how many miles you have to go up until you have to refuel from the last time you refueled. And I love that feature. Right now I'm at 28.8 miles per gallon, and I'm driving maybe 50, probably 50-50 city and highway. So it's really good on gas mileage. My Jeep, the best I could get is 17, even after I just babied it to no end. The steering wheel is probably my favorite thing on the interior. If nothing else, the stitching on this thing feels like it should be in some really high performance car. I love details like this. On the other hand, the leather around the shifter, the shift group right here, it just feels cheap. Like I touch it, I'm like, man, that's probably the first thing that I want to change out. Everything else, I mean, it's rubbery, and everything like that. It feels okay. You really don't expect much anyways from a car that's focusing on performance. But if you're gonna put leather, make sure to do it right. You know, that's kind of my thing. Anyways, I like the touch screen. I think that's perfect. As a matter of fact, that's literally the only technology upgrade that I always do in all the cars. I put a touch screen radio in there. The seats, they really hug you. I think it's perfect. The pedals, I think they're spot on. They definitely look like performance vehicle pedals. There's plenty of room in the back for my son to sit in. Put the seat back there, and everything's perfect. Now, like I said, how do I feel from going from, like I said, Corvettes and Jeeps and stuff like that to this? Corvette is a fun car, I mean, no doubt. I've modified one of them. I'll record some videos. I've done all the suspension related upgrades and the interior. The interior definitely feels like a race car kind of type feel, but still like a city race car. You know, it's not completely gutted or anything like that. I just put racing seats, harnesses, that kind of stuff. So it is definitely a fun car to drive, don't get me wrong. However, it's a car that you drive pretty much by yourself. So it's whatever I want to, go anywhere, I almost don't feel like going anywhere because I want my entire family to come with me. I want my wife there, I want my kid there, and I want us to go, on this drive, wherever it may be. This is a car that I put my kid in, I put my wife in, and it's a sports sedan. It was kind of made more for performance enthusiasts than, for example, a Jeep, which is extremely sluggish in my opinion. And yeah, I know Jeep people say like, that's not what Jeep life is about. I could never get into the Jeep life. I just felt like that car was going to break down all the time, and it did. It broke down quite a few times, even though I did nothing but pretty much baby it. So this car, I was talking to one of my friends, and I was telling him, I said, man, I have two cars that pretty much sit in the garage all the time. I want to drive this car. I want to tour the United States. I want to do these. I already came up with all these trips. And I said, my goal is to put 50, 60,000 miles over the next couple of years on this car. And he's like, it's so funny. You're acting just like a Subaru owner now. I was like, what do you mean? You always see those commercials and everything like that. People talking about, I just want to go here, I want to go there in my Subaru. My Subaru, it's a car to do trips in. And it didn't even click, but yeah, absolutely. I started acting like a Subaru owner. As a matter of fact, I really started understanding the Subaru culture. And I became obsessed. I spent every single night on forums, just looking at, what people are doing, what people are talking about their Subarus, and, you feel connected automatically. With the Corvette, I never felt that kind of connection. Yeah, you have your Corvette wave. I had the Jeep wave, and now, of course, there's a Subaru wave. But you feel more connected with those people. And I don't know, maybe it's just the kind of person that I am. I've always grown up with the lower cars, modified and everything like that, mostly imports. And I kind of understand that crowd better than I understand the other crowd. So, yeah, I mean, me and that guy now that owns the 2015 WRX, we meet up pretty regularly, and I can't believe we were able to talk about Subarus as much as we are. But there's always something to talk about, whether it's upgrades, whether it's just how much we enjoy driving it, whether it's trip planning, whatever it may be. It's actually really nice and really comforting. The one thing I didn't talk about is the handling of this car. Like I said, with the Corvettes, that torque just feels like you have unlimited torque. You step on the gas and you're gone. I mean, it's compared to this car, I don't think it's matched up properly. So that same guy that I keep referencing, he would have had an upgrade in his Subaru. Did quite a bunch of stuff to it. and it's pushing a little bit over 300 horsepower to the wheels now. It does feel fast, but still, the Corvette definitely just, I mean, would probably kill a Subaru in a straight line anyways. Through the curves, holy hell, I've never driven a car that handles so well through the curves. There was this little section that, about 25 mile an hour zone, I mean, you know, it's not a residential section by any means, it's just a little road that's pretty curvy. And I've taken my Corvette there, and the fastest I could go through there, feeling comfortable anyways. I mean, maybe some more experienced driver would be able to push it far beyond the limits that I can do. But 52.3, it doesn't, you know, I don't hear any kind of screeching or anything like that of the tires. So it's, you know, it's not like it's oversteering or anything like that. But you get to that point where you just feel like, if I just step on it even more, I feel like I'm going to go ahead and spin the tail out of this thing. And it's that feeling that prevents me from pushing it even faster. The Subaru, I go in mid-turn, stomp on the gas, and it feels like it's actually pulling me out better out of a curve than if I was just going through it normally. So it's like, it's crazy. I mean, I don't know whether it's their torque vectoring or whatever they call it, but it definitely feels fast. So I was able to do, like I said, very conservative. I wasn't even stepping on the gas all that hard. Just driving normally. I was able to do 65 miles an hour through this section that I normally do 52 miles an hour with my Corvette. And I felt like I could go much faster. I felt like I could go at least another, you know, up to 10 miles an hour faster with that car, or with this car. So it's, I don't know, it's definitely an interesting experience. The transmission feels amazing. It, you know, I didn't opt for the short shifter, but I don't think it's necessary in my opinion. I have a Hurst short shifter with both of my Corvettes. The C5 Corvette, it feels very mechanical. I mean, you just feel like you're wrestling with the transmission, and that's okay. I like that feeling too. The C6, it feels a little bit smoother, but this one just feels, I don't know, it almost feels like a German car transmission in feel, hopefully not in design, because those things are garbage. So I think that pretty much covers it. I mean, the only other thing that I can think of is the clutch. In 2018, apparently they put a much softer clutch in the WRX, which feels amazing. Driven the 2015 WRX, and that clutch feels like you're just like trying to compress a really stiff spring, and it's pushing back on your foot. This one you can actually feel when the clutch, or when the transmission actually hooks up. So yeah, other than that, I think next video I'm going to talk a little bit about upgrades that I'm planning on doing to the car. Nothing too crazy. So I'll see you guys next time.